Hi, everyone. Today I sat down with Ivan Palomino. He is a communications expert and also a work culture expert. We had a delightful conversation. We talked about healthy parenting, how to build empathy, understanding, and self-awareness within your children. We talked about the rise of AI, how parents can teach critical thinking and other important soft skills to their children. Absolutely love the interview. I hope you guys enjoy it. Thank you so much for joining me today and coming on to talk. I'm very excited about the discussion that we're going to have. So, first off, if you could just tell us about yourself and what you do.
Oh, well, let me tell you something. I have been somewhere in the middle between bridging kind of the science of the brain and the reality of human behaviors. And you know why is that interesting? It is because when we are an employee, when we are a leader, or when we are just a parent, we need to be able to change some certain behaviors. And sometimes our brain is built in such a way that there is resistance, this friction. And we need to find a ways of understanding how the brain functions so that we can tame the beast, the thing that make us like not do something that we really want to do. So I got interested about the topic 10 years ago. I was still in the corporate world. And let me tell you, Beth, I was kind of hating my life because it
Mm,
wasn't really what I was imagining.
mm,
I was so disappointed about how many employees were suffering because so many changes and they weren't really
yeah.
involved and they didn't feel belonging. And back in the days, I decided to get away from this corporate world and move towards helping this corporation invest in the real thing that will make that employees are satisfied about what they do. They are
Mm,
happy on the jobs, basically. And I found that People Cult, which is a company using neuroscience and technology to help organizations move away from this theory of culture into the science of behavioral change, so that
mm.
both can be aligned.
I
Uh,
love that.
I would say that somehow my focus is on scaling these human skills, something like, for instance, empathy, resilience, connection
Mm.
through technology so that thousands of people can improve their work-life experience.
I love that. I love that. So first, you did talk about taming the beast. Could you kind of break that down? And then as a secondary question, how can parents help their children tame their beast?
I shouldn't have used that word because it's a little bit dangerous.
Okay.
We in our brain is functioning based on two major uh, reflexes, which is I want this because it's pleasure, or I'm escaping from this area because I'm fearful that something
Mm-hmm.
is going to happen to me. Because, and
Yeah.
that is something that in the evolution of human beings, we have seen that it has stayed in humans. So if we understand these two things that um, rule our decision making, mainly, it's not
Hmm.
everything, but it's mainly that
Yeah.
we are capable of understanding what is the process to change, to have less friction, to be less fearful about the future, to
Mm,
understand emotions, because emotions at the end, it is something that is a subjective view of the external world.
hmm.
And by putting the dots together and understanding this, the list of things that rule our decision making, the beast is made out of pleasure or
Mm,
fear. And if we are capable of understanding this, the way the brain processes information, we're able finally to be able to have less friction to what we want to do. Think about the last time simple things that happen in the day-to-day life. For instance, I wanted to lose a couple of kilos, a couple of some weight, and there is this friction that prevents me to do
mm,
what I really want to do. And
yeah.
that happens to many of us. Or
Yeah.
we are inspired by art, by any new learning, and then we take the decision because we want to have more money, or we want to be fulfilled through our financial stability, and we don't do what we really wanted to do.
Mm,
So
that's so
we
true.
humans, we are we have a full list of things that we couple because of we are either socially miming behaviors of others or because we really go for something that is fast rewarding instead of something that is fulfilling for the longer term.
That's so good. That's very important. And then just to kind of segue off of that, what inspired you to help others with their work cultures? You already touched on that a little bit. Maybe you can dig a little deeper.
Yeah. I was telling you that in my corporate life, I wasn't fulfilled. I had so many opportunities to travel the world, but despite that, I wasn't feeling myself. Why? Because I
Hmm.
was observing that in my personal case, I wasn't doing what I was supposed to do. I wasn't
Hmm.
having the impact with humans that
Yeah.
I wanted to have. And I saw that there was in corporations mainly, there was a lot of friction with this, all these changes that are happening all the time, the corporate strategies changing all the time, and leaders that weren't able to understand that that business failures aren't usually about bad plans, but they're about human friction. So they weren't able to understand the human psychology that is behind when there is a big
Mm-hmm.
change. There is fear. We need to have people who are capable of contributing to that change, and we are not even asking them questions. So there is a sense of loneliness that is
Yes.
powerful. My
Hmm.
God, and we don't do
Hmm.
enough about that. That was one
Hmm.
of the things that touched me. Another thing, and this is even more personal because uh, I thought that I was enjoying what I was doing, but I wasn't. That means that when you are living the life that you don't really want and is against your values, there
Hmm.
is something called burnout.
Yeah.
And that is what happened to me is
Hmm.
many people will tell you that it's about overworking. No,
Hmm.
it's about doing stuff that you
Yeah.
don't want to do it. You don't feel it in your heart.
Hmm.
And
Hmm.
that is something that made me inspire me to help employees live a better life, either to
Mm.
make even choices. If this culture does not belong to me,
Yes.
then I have the right to say no. And
Hmm.
there is, despite all the fears that we always have, like fear of failing, fear
Mm.
of not having financial stability, there
Yeah.
is always a way to get back in touch with you and make
I love
happy
that.
all the people around you, your
Hmm.
families.
Hmm. Yeah, that's great. And I think I like how you said that. There's always a way to do that. There's always a solution. I think you just have to be creative in finding it. That's really important. That's wonderful. Yeah. To transition again, what inspired you to build your podcast and then write books as well?
Um, you mentioned in your last sentence, we have to be creative at
Hmm.
finding solutions,
Hmm.
and I wanted to in my last book. Um, that is called Step Zero Before the Hustle. That is targeted to entrepreneurs. What I
Hmm.
wanted to do is that to say there are a couple of principles that you can do in business, and it doesn't matter how awesome your idea
Hmm.
is what is going to bring you the success is a couple of soft skills that you have made them grow inside of
Hmm.
you.
I love that.
And And one of the skills that will help you is this level of resilience, the capacity for you to go do failing, taking that as a data point
Yeah.
and try it again. The problem is that when we have emotions and we believe that we have the best idea in the world, it is very difficult to do this thing in a recurrent manner because there is always that friction that says, yeah, but the idea was great. No, no, no. How can you learn out of the failure that you are doing? How can you produce steps without fear, like micro steps towards the right solution? What in the world of entrepreneurship you call minimum viable product. The idea that is small enough to start and gives you enough information to continue doing something that is going to be liked and bought by somebody else.
Mm. That's good.
And training your brain to this is is a little bit tricky, but
Mm-hmm.
it comes. You know, when you have been formatted by, like me, for 18 years, I was in the corporate world and formatted in the way the corporate thinks about reducing the risk. Thinking in front of a
Mm-hmm.
PowerPoint about the potential scenarios is not going to help you. But doing a small step towards a solution, trying to validate just a small mini part of all the big idea that you have
Mm-hmm.
is going to help you. So in that specific book, my aim was to talk about the elements of human skills that are going to make you differentiate towards so that you have a winning way of being successful in your
Mm-hmm.
venture in your journey to entrepreneurship. So I have mentioned that the fact that that you have to be able to tame your fear towards failing, accept failure as one of the outcomes, be prepared to try micro small things every single day, and building curiosity to find solutions that are worthwhile solving. Everybody has great ideas, but some of the great ideas do not have people to that is interested about the ideas.
Mm-hmm.
So it is about to train your brain to ask the right questions. So
Mm-hmm.
if this is not solved, is it a big problem for people or not? And developing
Mm-hmm.
a curiosity that is based into finding good solutions to problems that people care, because when people care, then they are going to ask about your product, and even if it is half-assed, like it's not completely finished, they're going to buy it from you because it's
Mm-hmm.
solving a problem that nobody saw.
That's
Well,
great.
that's the inspiration comes from the fact that when you live through your own life as either as an entrepreneur or having this passion about work culture, which is what I'm talking a lot in my podcast, the Growth Hacking Culture podcast, it was about developing alternatives to what people traditionally think.
Oh yeah. Mm-hmm.
And that's
That's
something that
great.
is quite like a movement that gives me the fire to continue doing.
That's so good. It's really good. And then to kind of go back on that same topic, you talked about micro steps. How can families use micro steps to become a successful family?
Hmm. There are a couple of micro steps that are very good in order to develop this. The
Mm-hmm.
same story that I have for companies, corporations, and what we want is to have an environment where kids don't feel the fear of voicing up their opinions,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
where kids are able to develop this sense of curiosity,
Mm,
where kids are able to develop this critical thinking that in today's world, gosh, we need it. I don't
mm-hmm.
know, Beth, but when you see the
Yes,
news, you don't even know what is right or wrong. And
that's
this is
right.
the time for in a family to build at least three micro targets in your family.
Mm-hmm.
So, how do I build my critical thinking, mine and my kids? How do I develop this sense of curiosity? And curiosity leads to empathy. So, asking the right questions to my kids, and how do I engage them so that they are capable of also asking
Yes.
asking the right questions? And how do I develop people who are not scared? Really,
Mm-hmm.
because fear has been the biggest break of humankind in terms of progress, in terms of
Yes.
being a fulfilled human being. So I would say that if we think about micro habits is something that you do that is, in order to do it, it doesn't matter the intensity. So if you can do something in 2 minutes, but the trick is to make it in a freak in a frequent way, like that you repeat the same
Mm-hmm.
behaviors every single
Mm-hmm.
day. And why is
Oh
that
yeah.
important? Why it is important in order to create the neural pathways in your brain so that it becomes a reflex, a little bit like when you're driving a car. So
Mm-hmm.
repetition creates this thing that will make it like the next time that it will happen, it will be just automatic without thinking, no friction, in fact.
Mm-hmm. I love
In
that.
fact, a lot of people believes that in order to change, you need to have a lot of motivation. BS. I can tell you, it's not about motivation. It's about doing small micro steps that are repetitive. It's not
Yeah.
intensity. Intensity, in fact, puts a break in your way of keep on doing it. If you decide to go, let's say that you want to study data science, and you say, yeah, but I need a Harvard degree. Yeah, but there is a lot of friction on that time, money, especially.
Yeah. Yeah.
So how can you start today learning, let's say, data science in micro steps? Like, can you allocate 2 minutes every morning when you
Mm.
wake up, 5 minutes, but you do it every single day, regardless that is weekend or the weekdays.
I love that.
So my proposal for families to develop this sense of good culture, it would be to help them to help people, the people in the family, to spend 5 minutes daily writing or talking about feelings without judgment. Why? Because that creates the sense of self-awareness. What am I good at? What is it happening around me? How can I
Mm.
communicate better and
Hmm.
engage with the person in front of me? I also like this, the why game. Encourage kids to question things. This builds critical thinking, and especially
Wow.
today with the AI generated information, we don't need to do like in the traditional schooling system, like memorizing stuff.
Hmm.
We
Hmm.
need to be able to understand what is behind. It's not about
Yes.
knowing the name of 20 presidents of the United States. It's about
Hmm.
understanding what were the value, what they did right
Mm.
or wrong. And that's the kind of things that I think is
That's
easy and
important.
yeah,
Oh,
and,
that's so
and it's
important.
quite fun, in fact, to listen to kids when you ask, when you do the why game. Another thing that I would really recommend is to create in the house a no device connection zone where
Mm.
you dedicate time where the only focus is human connections, no digital interference. So in this room, there is nothing, there is no computers, there is no mobiles. Let's discuss it on this place or at this moment. So no
Yes.
device connection zone. We need to help people to be present,
Hmm.
to feel each other. Uh, I mean,
Yes.
I'm saying that at the same time, I have some notes, but I try not to read it. I
Yeah.
try to connect with you. That's the
Hmm.
thing
Hmm.
to do.
Yes. Yes, I love that. You said about the no device zone. Do you have an age that you recommend parents should start introducing devices or like is it 12, 13, younger than that? Do you think there's a maybe like an age that they shouldn't start introducing devices at?
The problem is not the device, it's the use of the device, right?
Hmm.
So
Hmm.
where is the biggest risk is, for instance, social media, because you don't want your kid to start diving into non-physical connections,
Hmm.
spending time looking at what was the singer wearing in the last show, understanding that there is people throwing hate to each other in such a
Hmm.
way. And by the way, when hate in kids come, no BS, is the parents the origin. So
Hmm.
they are miming the behaviors of
Hmm.
parents. So
Hmm.
it's very rare that if you have an equilibrated home, that kids just start insulting each other in a bad way. Uh,
Yeah.
so I am saying control on the use of the device
Hmm. Yeah, boundaries. Mm-hmm.
and limitations about the number of hours. So
Mm, that's good.
specifically for me, I had limitations on number of hours for my kids, uh, and specifically I had banned the until the age of 16 the use of social media. I
Mm-hmm.
know that they find a way, but I prefer that they find a way using the computer at school that being at home and not being
Yeah.
present or having my two kids not talking to each other.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. That's wonderful. That's really, really good. And I think that's that's an important topic for the age that we're living in and for parents to have actionable steps to take. That's really, really good. Um,
Mhm.
And
Yeah.
then how do you, we kind of touched on this already, but how do you suggest families integrate empathy, communication, and understanding?
Oh, that's um, that's a good one. I like this question. I mentioned before that, and that happens in the corporate world and in families. Whoever has the power
Hmm.
is is having an impact on the person below. Let's say that the
Hmm.
father or the mother are on the top of the hierarchy.
Hmm.
So
Yeah.
kids and employees look at whoever has the power and mime mime the things, mime the
Yes.
behaviors. So the mirroring effect, that is something that happens in apes and also in human beings, is about uh, children's
Hmm.
don't do what we say, they do what we do. So if
Mm,
we want to have empathy, we start by modeling the way we interact with others, modeling self-awareness, asking ourselves, so do I really like this stuff, or is it because
mm,
my uncle Tom told me, or my friend Jess told me that it was awesome?
hmm.
And being able to model through behaviors, through real act, is better than you telling the kids.
Mm,
Um, I think another element for more empathy, communication, and understanding is these intentional pauses, using like check-ins, asking, how are you feeling? And actually listen to the answer without us, parents, having the urge to fix something. But
yes.
that is easier said than done
Mm,
because I still struggling a lot with that.
yeah, it's that instinct. Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah.
These two things I think are important, but I have a, a next recommendation. So teach children that emotions are just data. Understanding why we feel a certain way reduces this survival brain. So that
Oh, I
they
love
don't
that.
become like uh, kidnapped by their emotions.
That's
So
so good.
if we are capable of understanding, yes, I feel sad, and that's okay. But then I have the choice of how am I going to reflect it, what behavior I'm going to
Mm,
show after I'm feeling sad, or I'm feeling ashamed, or whatever it is. But to help kids understand that it is just information that is coming from abroad, but we have the choice between the
mm,
moment that there is this trigger that comes from outside into what actions we're going to do. We have a choice. I think that there is a lot of wealth in order to grow beautiful, good human beings.
I really like that, how you said emotions are just data. Because I think that makes, if you're struggling with sadness or anxiety, that makes it seem because I think in our heads it can become like a huge thing when it's not actually. It's just our reaction to it that makes it even bigger. That's really
Yeah.
important. I love that. I really, really like that. And then we also kind of touched on this, but maybe you can go a little deeper. How can families build a successful culture at home?
Mm, successful culture. Let's define it by let I'm going to pick three axes. There is many
Sure.
things that brings this
That's
successful
perfect.
culture. Uh, First, let's define culture. Culture is what we think, what we feel, and what we do. That's a simple thing. So what is in our brain, our hearts, and in the actions, in the movements that we are going to take. I'm going to pick three things that I feel like they have the biggest impact into creating this positive atmosphere that where things are possible,
Mm,
where we feel aligned with ourselves. And
hmm.
I have picked that self-awareness, the element of self-awareness, critical thinking, and
Mm,
connection.
mm, that's so good.
And what people, the parents, all of the parents, uh, need to do is just don't talk about the topic, just do it. Just
Mm,
don't talk about honesty or kindness. Define with real acts, especially for kids, behaviors that prove that you have these values. So what would it mean to be honest? And you discuss about the scenario. So let's imagine being honest when you have seen one of your best friends doing something that is bad,
Mhm.
and that you are able to describe these actions. Small kids have a little bit more of a problem to extrapolate things that are conceptual. It needs to
Yeah.
be something that where you have an image of what is going on in order to represent and do the things. So
Mm.
don't talk about honesty. Just think about in a situation. How would you ask the question to your kids? How would you represent that you are honest in this type
Yes.
of scenario? And what is super good is also to have a sense of shared purpose. Why are we here as a family? Why the Palominos need to be here?
Mm-hmm.
What is the real reason? So that it gives you the sense of cohesion. And unfortunately, in corporations and in families, we forget what makes us special. We are just doing stuff because we need money to pay
Mm-hmm.
the mortgage, or we have to pay the school of the kids, or whatsoever. And we don't think about that in order to have somebody who is thriving inside of the family or inside of a corporation, you need to have a shared common purpose. Why are we here? And that is a big discussion that
Yeah.
can be co-created with the kids.
That's great. I do want to go back a little bit to what you had said before because just your answer to that question made me think of it. Um, so you talked a little bit about creativity, and I feel like I don't know, I'm seeing where I feel like our creativity in our society is diminishing. And I think, whether we like art, writing, reading, playing an instrument, singing, whatever, how do you suggest families cultivate creativity as a successful culture at home?
Mm. This fear about creativity, I thought about it like 1 year ago, especially when AI was booming. Everybody
Mm-hmm.
started using
Mm-hmm.
AI. And when you look about what is creativity, creativity is the fact that we are able to extrapolate non-connected experiences or readings into a new context. So connections that happen in our brain that are related to my personal experience. So let's say that I want to solve a problem in engineering, um, and I'm going to think, in fact, about how I was catching my dog running behind because he just escaped. So if I'm able to connect two unrelated experiences into finding a solution, that
Mm-hmm.
is creativity.
Mm-hmm.
Now, the, the thing about AI is that it has brought the power to do a lot of things that look creative, the way of expressing, because you will be capable of, say, asking AI to copy something that he has seen. So let's say that there is a writer that you like, he's
Mm-hmm.
posting awesome posts in LinkedIn, and suddenly you ask, "Oh, can you copy the structure and the way, the tone of voice of this person?" So we
Mm-hmm.
believe that this is creativity when in the theoretical sense it is because it's extrapolating a new context, a new subject to
Mm-hmm.
an old context that there was before. Now, the main idea for a family to live in this moment where creativity maybe feels like a little bit more of a pressure for human beings because we don't have this capacity of AI to take mega data and bring
Mm-hmm.
it together is to understand how you can work together and to expand humans
Mm-hmm.
versus AI. So that means
Mm-hmm.
that creativity could be enhanced if we know how to prompt correctly AI
Mm-hmm.
and extrapolating things that do not have anything to do. Let's
Yes.
let me give you an example, and I did the exercise myself. In physics, there is a theory called the Heisenberg paradox. So you cannot measure the speed of a particle at the same time that uh, you will not know exactly, in fact, the position of a particle, even if you measure the velocity of the speed or the speed of a particle in the quantic physics world. You can extrapolate this same statement into work culture, and that AI will not propose it to you by in its own. So if
Right.
we're capable of prompting using AI in a way that it will never think of, and we
Hmm.
have this capacity because we have something called dreams, and these dreams are something that allow us, in fact, to
Mm-hmm.
explore, to have like no boundaries around what could happen. AI has some boundaries because everything is based on facts that has happened. We, as humans, we are the only animal who is capable of believing that we can travel in time. That is still possible.
Hmm.
Maybe it is, maybe it is not. I don't have the answer for that. But if you
Hmm.
ask AI today, he will tell you, no, that is not possible because it's based on the facts, on the history of what it has been fed. But we can believe that we can travel on time, that we are going to be in Mars, that we are going to uh, find another civilizations around the universe. We can do that. So it's about training your brain on removing the step of fear of yes, it has much more knowledge than a human being, AI. But how can I leverage tapping that knowledge to ask him questions, to prompt him to create solutions that do not exist
Hmm.
yet? And that we
Good.
are quite unique.
Hmm. Yeah, I really like that. That's a great answer. Wonderful. And then to kind of transition back to family culture, what are 5 easy steps for families to start now, which will help them build a good culture at home?
Oh, I think that I I want to get back to the answer that I gave a little bit
Sure.
earlier about
Hmm.
the, the these elements because I think it kind of answers already.
Hmm.
So I was talking about the development of self-awareness, which is
Hmm.
can we in short times spend 5 minutes daily writing or talking about feelings without
Yes. Hmm.
judgment. That
Hmm.
is one thing that I would recommend.
Hmm.
Um, the why game that I mentioned to you that allows kids to develop or build this critical thinking,
Hmm.
especially in today's world where there is a lot of AI generated information that we don't know if it has been biased or not.
Yeah.
The possibility to build zones inside of the house so that people are present. They don't have any noise from devices, from electronics, television. It's just about connecting, having, even if this part is very small, it's part of the garden, imagine, where we can have one-to-one discussions and I can be
Hmm.
just focus on what the other is saying.
Hmm.
Um, the other thing I would say celebrate supporting or helping over winning. Reward
Hmm.
the child who help their siblings. We
That's
this
good.
story about focusing on the result, which by the way, I live in Switzerland, but is in Europe. So and when we look at, for instance, Americans, we say, yeah, they're always thinking about winning. But in order to build a world where there is good diversity of thoughts uh, and that is healthy, we need people who wants to have the winning, but we need also people who are able to construct in the human power a better society. And
Hmm.
it's not only about inventing new things, it's about how as humans can we be better. So
Yes.
that's why I would say supporting over winning is sometimes something that is quite practical. And my favorite one, this story about practicing micro habit. Pick one behavior like saying one thing you are grateful for at dinner and
Oh,
do
that's
it
good.
every single day. Simple. Something that is
That's
short,
yes.
doesn't take more than 2 minutes.
That's great. That's really, really good. And then since you focus on building human-centric work cultures, how can parents do this at home? And then how can they focus on the humanity of their child?
Oh, yeah, yeah. We are entering an era where AI can do the logic, which
Mm-hmm.
is good.
Mm-hmm.
Parents must focus on what makes the child uniquely human. So we
Mm,
are talking about creativity, empathy, and moral judgment. I love this word, moral judgment.
mm-hmm.
Um, and also, I think that we need to stop treating children as product of an education system. And that happens a lot, especially when you go to traditional schooling, right?
Mm-hmm. Right.
We they learn how to repeat, store knowledge, but not
Mm,
to develop this critical thinking that will make them say,
yes.
was that a good president, a good king, or a good princess? Uh,
Mm,
could this be real? We need more of these people who are capable of understanding the world with different perspectives so that
oh,
they
that's so
can
good.
decide how to
Mm,
influence this world positively. So it's not a product. You are not like the good in math girl. You
mm-hmm.
are a person who discusses stuff, who can
Yes.
judge stuff, who can take opinions, who sometimes take the not the easiest way in order to get things done. And that's what we want. It's not about product. It's I hate, for instance, when parents, oh, look at my child playing violin. Gosh, you did it for you or you did it for your child? And the
Mm,
child probably is going to drop violin because he or she didn't pick it up.
mm-hmm. That's really, really good. I really like that point. I think we focus on a lot of that at Next Era. We love individualized learning, so we believe that every child learns differently, and that way, we think it's important to teach parents to teach their children and craft the lesson to how the child learns and not view them as a product. That is really important. I love that
Indeed.
perspective. That's really, really important. And then I also think too, like you were saying, knowing that they're not viewed as a product will give them self-awareness, creativity, and critical thinking because they know they're different and unique. That's really beautiful.
Yeah, but something that I found quite interesting, and I read about it just before having children, because I wanted to have children who were
Were
able to
able to.
decide on their own. And I discovered that there has been studies showing that that have been good students with the maximum grades
Hmm.
are not the happiest people in the world. There has
Hmm.
been studies showing that the guy who get top A's from in primary, secondary school, and whatsoever,
Hmm.
at the age of 30, they were asked, "Were you happy? Are you happy now?"
Hmm.
So you have a better chance to have a happy child if
Hmm.
he just picks, decides, this is what I want to be good at. I don't want to be
Mm.
good at in everything just so that my parents show that I'm a straight A student.
Yes.
My gosh, this is
Yes.
so powerful because what I care
It
the
is.
most is not about the school grades. I care about their happiness in the world and how to
Mm.
prepare them for this world that is sometimes complex.
Yes, and that creates a well-rounded individual, I think, when you let them figure out what they like and let them pursue that. And then they will know that they're unique. And yeah, that's really,
Mm.
really powerful. That's wonderful. Thank you for sharing that. And then do you have particular leadership traits that you recommend parents teach their children at an early age?
Okay, I will tell you my three favorites.
Okay.
One, cognitive agility, the ability to change a person's mind when presented with new data, so that you
Mm-hmm.
are capable of processing the new data and adapting to the new data. A lot of people get stuck with the old data because they believe that their opinion back then should be defended even in the worst cases, and we see that in a lot of politicians. Yoo-hoo. Then second point, uh, teaching that failure isn't a catastrophe, it's just data for the next attempt.
Mm-hmm. That's really.
Um, then something that I call empathic leadership, but it is the ability to understand another person's perspective, even and especially when you disagree.
Yes. I love that. Yeah,
A
that's
difficult
really
one, huh? But
that's so important. I majored in communications. I graduated in August with my bachelor's, and that's one thing that I really loved taking, like that I took away from my degree, is that this other perspective, like mine isn't always correct, and other people have different perspectives because they live different lives. And I think yeah, I think that builds critical thinking and self-awareness when you go into life with that mindset.
exactly. But don't you feel that these are the type of things that should be taught really early on?
Mm,
You don't need to wait until you get your
mm,
communication degrees. And by the way, when you are an engineer like me, we never learn these type of things.
mhm. Yeah, it is. And I think the sooner you teach those things, I'm grateful my parents did. We worked on that from a pretty young age, but as soon as you teach them, I think it gives you the ability to communicate well from a very young age.
Exactly.
Yes,
That is
that's
true.
wonderful. That's wonderful. And then if a homeschool student wants to pursue entrepreneurship, how would you suggest they start?
Oh, this is a good question because, in fact, um, now with the fact that the new generation of kids are not into this. I mean, I'm a Generation X, so I was into the thing of getting into the corporate world, being a good
Yeah,
employee, having earning
yeah.
money, having the capacity to travel and all the stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Now the kids, they say, I don't want status. I don't want these financial perks that my parents were looking for. I can live with, I don't know, in the United States, but let's say that
Mm-hmm.
I can live with $1,000,
Mm-hmm.
move to Thailand, live
Mm-hmm.
there, and do some job that I
Yes.
enjoy doing. And I have the
Mm-hmm.
freedom to do meditation, and I have the freedom to do writing a book or whatsoever.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So the proportion of people who are going to choose entrepreneurship is going to increase in the
Oh yeah.
next 10 years is going to double or triple
Mm-hmm.
versus the previous 10 years.
Yes.
So it is important to help your kids to prepare them towards this choice. What you want is that they have a choice. You are not going to nudge, be an entrepreneur or be a good employee. So, and what I'm saying, and I say it in the book Step Zero Before the Hustle, is about focus on building your mental discipline and curiosity first. Mental discipline, because we need systems in order to reproduce mm, or repeat behaviors constantly. Like if you are an introvert, to be able to talk with the next person beside of you, you can do
Mm-hmm.
micro actions in order to
Mm-hmm.
start doing removing that friction that is quite necessary when you are an entrepreneur. Or how do you ask yourself good questions repetitively in order to develop your curiosity, or this level of empathy where you are asking questions but without nudging the person who could be potentially a client about the solution, where you are really focused on their pains,
Mm-hmm.
their needs, so that you can extract value and produce a solution that really is going to be fulfilling for others. It's very difficult, in fact, because we always think that we have the idea first and we are trying to
Mm-hmm.
validate it with people. Why don't you do the other around? The other
Oh
way
yeah.
around is asking about their problems so that you can figure out an idea or complete the
Mm,
idea that you had before.
that's so good. I love that. That's very
It is
important.
important to help these kids to solve a real pain.
Mm-hmm.
Don't start just with a business idea. Start by looking at a problem that is worthwhile solving.
Mm-hmm.
And this idea of mini validations. Don't wait for perfections. Create a mini version of your idea and see if somebody will pay for you for it or use it. Just a
That
mini.
yeah, that process of experimentation, that's vital. I really like that. Yeah,
Uh,
that's
in the corporate world, you don't learn that because you have like a full army of people developing processes, and so you need
mm-hmm.
perfection. When you
Mm-hmm.
are an entrepreneur, you need to the risk that your solution that you're going to spend months developing and spending the money, your money and the money of others, that
Hmm.
you reduce the risk. The only way to reduce the risk is to be in contact with the pains of your potential users so that you know that your stuff is going to solve their pains.
Yes, that's really, really good. Um, yeah, that's wonderful. Thank you for sharing. And then to kind of segue off of that, how should parents authentically connect with their children? Do they focus on their pain from what you were saying in your previous answer? How do you suggest they do that?
Hmm. It is very difficult as a parent because we have an embedded power. That means, as parents, there is a distance that the children are, acknowledge that we have because of we are older,
Yeah.
we need more respect, or we have the
Oh, yeah.
we
Yeah.
take some certain decisions. So
Hmm.
it is important to break a little bit this in certain moments. So
Hmm.
show vulnerability. Parents often feel that they must be perfect, but authenticity comes from admitting when you are wrong or just
Mm.
learning or you don't have the answer. I hate it when the parents invent a solution and they tell you it is a fact. What the hell?
Yes. Oh my word. Yes.
You
Yes.
have heard that one. I
Yes.
can feel it. Then, especially in this digital world, is giving to your kid full, undistracted attentions is the highest form of respect. You can give it to them, but you cannot tell them, don't use the mobile when you are going to be answering emails at the same time that you're having the discussion about grades or how the school went and so on. No, you need to be present. They can feel it. They can
Yes.
feel it. And if you don't feel it,
Yes.
touch them. Hold their hands for when you are talking to them. Go at the same level of eye level
Mm.
with them. Just low. If they are smaller than you, go down and look
Yes.
at their
Mm-hmm.
eyes. It is so important that that this active listening is represented is a behavior that they can mime for the future.
Yes. That's really good. That's very good. I like that. Um, the where you encourage physical contact, hold their hand, get down on their level. That I think softens that embedded nature of trying to be, I don't know what the term would be, like trying to be older or more of a hierarchy between the child and parent. I think that's really important. That's really
Exactly.
important.
And sometimes we don't understand when we get the power, we don't really understand it that we can have influence on others.
Mm-hmm.
When I was in the corporate world and I had a certain position, I didn't know that my behaviors were even more looked at than when I was a peer with my peers. So it is
Mm-hmm.
important to be aware of the sense of power that we have so that we know that this can change, impact people.
Yes, yes, I love that. That's really important. Um, and also, I think it shows when you're a parent who parents in the way that you suggest, it shows that self-awareness, which will demonstrate that to the child. And, open communication, empathy, understanding, that's so important.
Yep,
Mm. Mm.
indeed.
And then just to kind of wrap up, why is your work rewarding? And then how can we support your work?
Oh, two questions. uh, Rewarding it is when you feel that what you do has a positive impact.
Mm,
You don't have to dream in order to change the world to have to say, I have to get an impact in the whole world.
mhm,
Start already with your families. Having
mm,
good families, developing good future adults that are going to be able to do good things for the world is something that is quite good. So for me, it's
yes.
about the impact. Knowing that, for instance, an employee feels safer and more seen because of a change of behavior on the company and in his side, that when I help facilitate this type of changes, I feel useful.
Mhm.
I see, I like when I see that people are understands that we are capable of learning or transform ourselves, that we are capable of we have the power to rewire our
Mm-hmm.
brain in order to change.
Mm-hmm.
And that is the things that I feel rewarding in my job.
Yes.
Transformation and impact, especially the human impact. Now, how can you support me with my work? Um, I I would love to that your audience connects with me. So you
Okay.
can reach me out either in LinkedIn, Ivan Palomino. Uh, you can also learn about certain crazy ideas that I have about change. You can subscribe to my newsletter called the Simply Human newsletter that you can
Mm-hmm.
find in Substack.
Okay.
Uh, if you're planning to become more entrepreneurial or you want to assess the choice of being an entrepreneur, I would also recommend to get a copy of my book, Step Zero Before the Hustle. You can
Mm-hmm.
find it in Amazon and in a lot of other places.
That's great.
Um, and it talks basically about the soft skill side that you need in order to be successful in your venture.
That's great. And then if you have anything new coming out, feel free to share that. Any books coming out or anything that you want to highlight.
Thanks, Beth. It was really nice to speak to you. It was awesome.
Yes. Yes, this was wonderful. Thank you so much.
Thank you.